I was really afraid that after that asinine comment, people would really clap. However, I'm going to answer you. Do you think that the Jews of Germany threatened Germany? Do you think that the Jews of Germany were running around Germany saying, it's really our country, and the Germans took it from us, and when we have power, we're going to take it back and call it Israel? You think that that's what the Jews said? If they had said that, then Hitler would have had every right to deport them, not exterminate them. They didn't say that. The Jews of Germany wanted nothing more than to be the best Germans that ever lived. That's the difference between the Jews of Germany and the Arabs of Israel. They don't want to be Israelis. They don't want to be Jews. They claim that Israel is an illegal state. It's a settler state. It's an imperialist state. And they want to wipe it out. That's the difference. I don't want to exterminate the Arabs. I just want to move them out, and believe me, if I was the prime minister for 1 month, they'd be out. Yes.
I have two questions.
Yes, sir.
The first is, who is Mort?
Sir, hold on.
Excuse me.
Yeah, just hold a second.
Excuse me, please. I'd like to point out that we have 10 more minutes. So.
Yeah. Okay, the first question is, who is Mort? You've referred to him several times. I'm not familiar with him. The second question is I'd like for you to speak to whites and liberals, especially inability in America to recognize racism among people of color.
Sorry, what?
To speak to whites and liberals, especially inability to recognize racism in America amongst people of color, and how that affects you in your position, Louis Farrakhan, and other related topics you've been speaking about today.
I don't want to go into Mort. Those that know who he is know. Those that don't, he's not relevant. He's just a bad guy. Let's just forget about it. Now.
Okay.
Wait. Answer the second question. His second question was about why can't liberals and so on recognize anti-Semitism or racism on the part of people of color. Well, okay. The reason is that liberals, and especially Jewish liberals, have a tremendous hang-up and guilt about blacks. Instead of respecting them as human beings and not blacks or greens or anything else, they'll bend over backwards to show you, see, we love you really. And if we love you, maybe you'll love us too. I said before, I'll say it again. All people are really equal, but I mean really equal. If you're good, you're good, and if you're bad, you're bad, whether you're white, black, or polka dot. And anyone who is afraid to get up and condemn blacks for saying the same kind of things that if whites said it, they'd be shrieking, is a bigot and has nothing but contempt for blacks. I'm a great believer in equality. That's why I treat Stokely like I would treat...
We got 5 minutes left. I want to talk to you before I leave, okay?
Absolutely.
You're a big liar, you know?
Yeah, okay, go on, let's go.
I can tell you what you just said about Israel or whatever. My father was ambassador at Ivory Coast in Israel. I was there, okay? And you say you want to do peace side by side in a different country. This is not right. Okay, I don't know where your country is and where the Jewish country is. But anyway, the land belongs to everybody. So don't stand it out there. You got all the police behind your hand or whatever and lie there, okay? So that's what I want to tell you. And get to your house here and leave.
All right, that was an interesting statement. Next.
Whites were never enslaved, so don't
Excuse me. He's next. Go on. Unless you...
Don't say that the people of color are racist against whites. Whites were never slaves. Okay, that's a different point of view.
You're right. You're right. In other words, blacks can never be racist. No question about that. blacks are not racist. Of course, it's just... In Brooklyn, there is an ongoing boycott of Koreans by blacks. I want to tell you that if whites would be doing that and saying boycott Koreans, can you imagine what you would say? I say the same thing. Don't tell me people are people, white or black, and there are bigots on both sides and of all hues and cries. Yes.
One thing I'd like to talk about history. Someone else here said that they thought they should leave that in the past, but I think that's really vital to this whole discussion, is the history of the Zionist movement. And I think that you should know this or you're going to start swimming, that the Zionist movement was not founded by people who were against sitting down over coffee and cake with the worst anti-Semites in the world. The Zionist movement, including Herzl, was founded by people who were willing to trade the thousands of lives of Jews so that they could be the ruling class of a new state in Palestine. The Zionism not only robbed land from Palestine, but it backed off from the fight against anti-Semitism in Europe. Herzl met with czars in Russia that were instigating pogroms against the Jewish population. They had connections with Mussolini and even indirect connections with Nazi Germany. This is all written about by Jewish authors. I urge all people to read a book called Zionism in the Age of Dictatorship by an American Jew, Lenny Brenner.
That's it? My friend, I'd sit down with the devil to save my people. And it's people like Lenny Brenner, who I know well, too well, who is the epitome of that self-hating Jew. Thank God there were Zionists who created a Jewish state, to which are pouring in now 1 million Soviet Jews. If they didn't have Israel, they'd have to stay inside the Soviet Union and enjoy the blessings of the anti-Semites there. It doesn't bother me when Arabs cry out against Israel, because I understand them. They believe it's Palestine. I would suspect that you're Jewish. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
I'm Irish.
Okay, fine, good enough, good enough. But the fact is that that Lenny Brenner is Jewish. You haven't ever found one Arab in the world who would ever write a book against Arab Zionism as Lenny Brenner wrote against Jewish Zionism. That's the difference between a normal people and a people that is riddled with sick people like Lenny Brenner. Yes, next.
I had the wonderful opportunity this past year
Louder, please. Yeah.
I had an opportunity this past year to study human rights law in Hebrew University on Mount Scopus.
Yes.
And what I'm most worried about is the impression you're giving of the basic legislation that has been passed in the Knesset before you were a member of the Knesset, how you've manipulated that legislation to give people here the impression that the Jewish state supports you, when in fact you were banned from the Knesset and you are not allowed, nor is your party allowed, anywhere near the parliament in Israel.
My dear young woman, I have not given the impression that the Jewish state backs me, whatever that means. What I'm saying is that for someone who is apparently liberal, you show a strange tendency not to be upset at the fact that a legally elected party was banned. Excuse me, I'm still speaking. Had the same Knesset banned a leftist party on the grounds that they advocate soldiers not serve in the territories and therefore pose a threat to a clear and present danger to Israel, you and your friends at Hebrew U would be climbing the walls, and I don't mean the Western Wall. Indeed, had an Arab party, which is openly PLO, that of Miari, had they been banned, you would have climbed 2 walls. Excuse me, I'm not finished yet. And we all know that in a liberal society, one person speaks and not 2 people. You spoke, I was quiet because I am tremendously polite both to men and women. So now it's my turn. Now it's my turn. And afterwards, you can go back there and answer me. But right now I'm speaking. That's called liberalism. Now, if you were really liberal, you would, as Alan Dershowitz did, protest strongly at the outrageous banning of a party elected in a democratic fashion, because that opens the doors tomorrow to banning other parties, which you may like, but which I don't like. The banning of the Kach movement was a tragedy for democracy inside Israel. And therefore, I want you to know, it gave me a great precedent. Because in the end, I'm going to run again. I wasn't banned. The Kach party was banned. We'll change the name. We'll move the platform around a little bit. It'll be a moving platform. And we'll run. And this, no, because I'm not finished yet. You must learn patience. Don't be an extremist, really. You must learn patience. You have to learn patience. I will tell you when I'm finished, and then you go back there at the microphone and speak, as long as you want, because I have patience. Now, I'm going to run again. And if I run, when I run, and when I get the kind of seats which was the reason why I was banned, not for racism, I was banned because the Likud and the right wing and Labor were terrified at what the polls were showing, how many seats I would get. That's why I was banned, and that doesn't even bother you, because liberals are a selective breed par excellence. It all depends on whose ox is being gored. So therefore, when I run and I list a bill to ban the parties that you like and base it upon the precedent of me, I don't want to hear a peep out of you, because after all, I base it upon the precedent that you cheered here. Now go up there and answer me. But they can't hear you.
I can hear her.
But I'm not talking to you. I said they, and you as
Let the people decide if they can hear her.
You are not they as yet. Absolutely. The fact of the matter is that the state of Israel doesn't back Shimon Peres either. The state of Israel doesn't back Shamir. The state of Israel doesn't back anybody. There are voters who back particular parties. And that is a fact. Indeed, if you went to Israel, or if Mort went and ran, I think I get a lot more votes than either you or Mort. That's for sure. Yes, sir. Now you, hostility unlimited there. Come on, let's go.
Let me first say I've never been in a room where I've seen such visually such hate expressed. I guess I've been a rather lucky American in which I grew up in a small suburb, and I've never found myself in the center of an almost riot. And my comments are not directed to Kahane at all, because I've heard enough of you, and I think everybody here knows what you say on most deals. What I wanted to present this to is the Jewish Information Center that brought him here. This is a relatively peaceful university. We have not, sure, granted it has its violence attempts, but I don't know of many racial incidents or any things that have been caused politically.
Louder, please.
No, that's another thing. It's not directed towards you. You're not going to raise my anger.
I can't hear you.
You want me to shout,
no,
and I'm not going to do that.
I just want you to speak into the microphone.
These people can hear me.
Well, I can't hear you, okay?
Well, then get closer to the...
But I can't hear you.
Well, I can hear myself, and I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to them.
If you're talking to them, you won't speak. You're up there to speak to me, and they can listen too.
As I was saying, that I would like to know what you think now that you have brought him to our university, now that we have students here who have seen an almost riot start. And I mean, and the end result here is we have a university student. I mean, I don't know your name on the right. You did say that you saw the pro-Palestine students start the violence. What I saw was Meir Kahane push her. And now excuse me, ma'am. Look,
an unbiased witness right over there.
Can I
in the
finish?
kafia? Yes.
Question. I can answer your question. I understand what you're saying. I know what you're getting at. He pushed the person who was up here.
Thank you for saying that.
That flag.
That's right. Nobody gets up here when I'm speaking.
Well, okay. That's
You're in
his
America.
Opinion. Wait, hold on a second. Excuse me.
Go on.
Excuse me.
Finish speaking.
That's his opinion. My opinion of the situation here was when they brought the PLO flag up here, to me that didn't mean equal rights. To me that meant anti-Semitism. It meant the destruction of the Israeli state and the traditional use of the word anti-Semitism. Okay, anti-Jewishness. The PLO to me represents an anti-Semitic organization. It represents